Alright people, it's time for a fight to the death. Paint versus paint markers. They're clearly fighting over the same territory, so we're gonna make that a fight and pit them head to head and see which comes out on top. This video is brought to you by the Customizer Kit sale. There is 15% off and there's only a few days left, so don't miss out. Huge value while you can get it. Check out the link in the description. Everyone and their dog has used paint before, but have you used paint pens? I used paint pens for the first time only a couple of years ago, and it blew my mind how much I could get done so quickly and accurately and how much I could cover with these humble little guys. So is paint irrelevant now? Should we move on from paint? Well, we're gonna find out in this video. We're gonna make these two sworn enemies fight to death over the same territory so you can leave this video knowing which one is the winner. In the left corner, it might be thousands of years old, but that doesn't mean it doesn't still pack a punch. It's the big dog for a reason. And currently the undefeated champion of the world, it's Paint! In the right corner, the new kid on the block. Agile, fast, sharp, and modern, having customized everything from Lamborghinis to toilet seats, it's Paint Pens! Our contestants will compete in 6 categories: speed, blending, portability, durability, customizability, and the masterpiece round. Let's get ready to paint! To paint pictures, because that's why you clicked on the video. In our first round, we're judging speed. Who can hit the fastest? In this round, both contestants will be receiving a small canvas, which they need to fill in the space of 10 minutes. Which contestant will come out on top? And it appears our first contestant, Paint, is going to be depicting themselves. With paint being applied to a palette off to the side, we are ready with a countdown starting at 10 minutes, and we're off. And Paint comes in swinging fast, immediately slapping down an orange base coat to communicate the fiery power with which they are imbued. Yes, it seems like they've chosen the purple robes, the colour of royalty dating back to even the pre-Roman era. Perhaps that's even a subtle flex against the paint pen contestant who owes their pigmentation to the history behind paint's power. And with 3 minutes left on the clock, they're starting to get a little bit cocky, bit of rim lighting. The crowd is nervous and not sure if Paint has remembered that the rings of the arena that it's painting around. Oh, nope, they've got it. And with a few seconds left, that's almost everything coloured in. It seems to have missed some highlights on the boxing gloves, but that aside, Paint has shown that though it's old, it is nimble, with a self-assured and cocky piece trying to intimidate its foe. Paint knows it can do a lot better than this, but with 10 minutes, I think we're all surprised that even Paint, as sloppy and old as it is, can get some stuff done quick. But is this where paint pens can show it can fight back? So just like their opponent, the paint pens are now warming up, starting off with a bit of a sketch which seems to be a young, scrappy fighter. Oh, and a message for their opponent. Okay, boomer, wow. With their prep time wrapping up and the markers and colours being chosen, it's now time to put 10 minutes on the clock, straight out of the gate and immediately starting to fill in the central areas of the character. Is it just me, or does this seem a little slower to begin with? The paint started with the background and got a lot down quick, whereas our paint pens are segmenting the different sections and starting to colour in those separate little groups. Paint did stick to traditional and symbolic colours, and if paint pens are going with symbology, the fluoro OK is certainly one way to show Paint that not all about what's been around forever, it's what's gonna look cool and get the job done. Not only have we put in this dark, bold black outline around the background very quickly, but look how fast that full, thick black coat is in there, all of a sudden switching to the small black paint pen for the line work, and all of a sudden we're in a refinement stage that Paint never got to in this period, finishing it off to rub it in their face with some highlights on the boomer, the one stage that the paint pens never even got to. There's strengths to both here. The paint has quite a bit of drama and a richness and thickness to the portrayal, but missed a few stages, whereas the paint pens finished an entire piece in the same period of time and is completely dry. I'm going to make this one a tie. Next up, blending. So in this next challenge, we're gonna get 3 primary colors from both mediums to blend into one another and see if both can create a satisfying and smooth blend. Starting off with paint, and I'm sure you know that this one has the upper hand here. In this instance, we're just sort of seeing how they work immediately on the surface. And of course, as expected, our acrylic paint primary colors blend beautifully into one another, both with a nice texture and with a good amount of control between them. But we need this to be a fair fight, so we need to do it in exactly the same way with our competitor. Much like alcohol markers, people assume that you need a huge collection to be able to get a huge amount of colors, but in reality, you can blend on the surface that you're working with by sort of pumping the tip of the marker. You can over apply the paint to create little pools of paint that you can then just use the paint pen tips to blend on the surface you're working on. So as you can see, with not too much working and reworking, I can actually get some pretty decent blends between these 3 primary colors without needing to use a palette and without needing to use secondary markers. I actually think a lot of people watching this might be surprised how well you can blend with paint pens, but nothing hits quite as hard when it comes to blending as good old-fashioned paint. Now the next battle category isn't actually painting, it's more practical. What of the 2 contestants can set up and pack up the fastest or most conveniently? So what is the portability challenge? Well, we're going to see what we can fit into our gym bag. For the paints, I'm going to bring along a white, black, a grey, so I don't have to mix that if I can avoid it, and then some primaries, red, yellow, blue, and a green. I'm going to need a portable paint palette, brushes. I'm also going to need a large bottle of clean water, but I can't mix all of my dirty brushes in the clean water, so I need some containers to contain dirty paint water. Then I'm going to take with me a roll of paper towel because paint gets messy, and for safety I'm bringing a plastic bag to shove in all my dirty and wet paper towels. Now that is everything I need for my portable painting setup, so with that packed up and ready to go, let's see how that compares with our paint marker setup. Same bag, same colours. As you can see, a fistful of these markers that covers all those colours fits into the same pocket pretty easily. So easily, in fact, there's plenty of room. I mean, at a pinch, let's throw in some cleaning wipes in case I make a mess or get paint on me. And with the extra room, let's bring an apple because I might want a snack while I'm making art. Okay, let's face it, that one was always going to go to the paint pens. It's really no competition. It's why they were invented. It's portable paint. Next, our combatants will be competing over durability. There is only one fair and unbiased way to judge this. Those paintings that we did in round 1 are going to have to be put through the ringer. After the durability tests, I am forced to conclude that neither contestant is the winner. I am in fact sorely disappointed by both. So no points will be awarded for this round. Okay, now the battleground is customizability. We all know paint and paint pens can paint on a canvas, but sometimes you need paint on something that isn't so straightforward. Starting off with our shoe, which is going to be customized to be a bit of a hot stepper. That's right, flames. Now obviously I can work with the advantage that paint has over paint pens. In this case I can use the white paint to blend out the yellow to create a really cool gradient. But it's when I go to bold colors and sharp edges, like I've gone here with the orange flame, things can be a little bit clumpy and you don't really have a lot of control over super smooth finish. But with that said, it doesn't end up looking too bad. So the Xbox controller is where things switch up a little bit. So I started with a dark blue paint to create a bit of a misty area that my lighter blue and then white can go on top of, and I'm going to create a lightning effect for the lightning hands that use this controller, because at the end of the day, gamers need super fast lightning reflexes when using a Nintendo Switch controller like this. Now as I build up in layers onto the lighter blue and eventually onto the white, it gets harder to control because the gloopiness is also building up. Each new layer adds new gloop. Also, because I'm painting on top of black, it's quite tricky to keep the opacity. The paint is being a little bit opaque, so to make it show strong, it has to be even gloopier. I have to really use a thicker coat. All in all, I get a pretty cool lightning effect, but only if you're sort of leaning back and squinting. As soon as you go into the details, like with the flaming shoe, the gloopiness and texture stand out. Now it's on to the paint pens. As you can see, it goes down really smooth. One of the biggest advantages that the paint pens has is the means of application. There's no palette to dip into or water to wash my brushes in. Now what it lacks in the ability to conveniently blend on surfaces, it well and truly makes up for in a nice clean flat finish and really appealing sharp edges. In a way, the more cartoony cutout feel and the sharp clean flat surfaces make for a way more appealing design. Now onto the controller, and this is the hard mode challenge, but immediately, as you can see with the dark blue layer, the color goes down just really strong. Where previously the dark blue paint just struggled to be even visible, the opacity of these paint pens is just awesome. Like immediately goes down and it's only one coat needed. And as I work my way up through to the lighter blue and eventually the white, that crispness and flat application is definitely the strength that carries through the entire project. Now, comparing one to one, we have the paint, which also has a bit of a sheen to it, a sort of satin finish, which I'm not a huge fan of. The markers, on the other hand, dry quicker and clean. Look how clean and matte and flat that looks. I just love that aesthetic. The Dreamcast controllers are the clearest case in point of how strong the pigmentation is. As far as marking stuff goes, paint markers absolutely kick the crap out of paint. Not just because the outcome looks really good, but also because the process is really fun. And if you want to have a go at that fun for yourself, you have one last chance to check out my Customize It kit for an awesome discount. There's 15% off, but it is a limited time and the sale ends in just a few days, so don't miss out. The Customize It kit is a limited edition box with huge value and even bigger savings with this 15% off for a limited time, and time is running out. Check out the link in the description. Starting off with our 40-page guidebook, which takes you through making patterns. You'll be shown exactly how to make awesome stuff. Brushes, of course, all of your paints, which of course are all included. Full set of professional, pigment-first, high-quality paint markers. And a whole bunch of stuff you can customize. Finger skateboards, a glasses case, epic wooden glasses, pencil case, tumbler, and premium customizable blank white sketchbook. It comes with gesso, so you can apply it to trickier surfaces to make sure everything sticks, and a varnish to make sure everything stays. If you want to get started trying out paint pens, this is an amazing place to start at incredible value. These alone, retail price, are the same price as you're spending to get this and 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 this. $200 worth of incredible art value, loads of fun, and it just begins at the box. And you can make 2024 yours, literally. Just customize everything. No more messing around. Now it's time for the last round. The masterpiece round. All the other rounds have only allocated 1 point per win so far. This round will allocate 10 points to the winner. It's the final round and it is truly winner takes all. Let's fight. Sounds like order, like chicken's done. Fight! Yeah, that's way better. This masterpiece challenge will take place on a shared canvas, divided down the middle. Both competitors will have the opportunity to take their medium as far as possible on the same canvas, to be directly opposed to their competitor, each working towards their strengths and without a time limit. Paint is once again depicting themselves as this Greek god, but this time without a time limit. Something tells me they'll be able to take this even further. Yes, we're going fiery with that background. This time a swirl of motion accentuating paint's impact and fiery punch. Bold move, one that's going to be hard for the competitor to counteract. Now we're moving on to some different colored areas. As the piece seems to be coming together, it's these final punches that are going to add the most impact. The edge lighting, the yellow sharp rim that accentuates the fiery blaze behind the character, and of course, some highlights on the boxing gloves. Literally, the paint opponent is dabbing on their competitor, showing the extreme versatility and texturability. It's going to be hard for our markers to keep up. All in all, an incredible performance from paint with a fantastic outcome, really showing off what paint is capable of. Alright, now it's time for markers to see if they can make their mark. Starting off with the sketch again, in response, the self-portrait of their feisty, nimble self leaping into battle, this time starting with the skin tones and slowly working their way towards other colours, and then eventually working their way into the background, filling in with a blank blue. Now as paint pens move on to the shadows, you can see that we're picking up some unique colours, some purples in the skin tones, highlighting perhaps the reflected blues that are happening in the background. Sharp and strong shadows in the clothing, and then we're moving into the background again, this time smothering in the black silhouettes, sharpening around the lightning emerging from the fist of this feisty competitor. Paint Pens is not pulling any punches and definitely showing off their lightning fast reflexes and accuracy with no spills, no clumping. Everything is perfectly designated to its area and easily overlaying one another. Doesn't matter to Paint Pens, it can go down whenever and wherever it wants, quickly and accurately. Starting off with the outline, bringing our paint pen piece together, and in a surprise, some white rim edging towards where the lightning is, red on the opposite edges reflecting the fiery combatant on the other panel that it is opposing. A bold creative decision, and sharply and quickly pulled off in a way that flexes what paint can't do. Whether Paint Pens or paint wins, one thing can be said with an assurity, that this battle will echo through the eons of time. This result, regardless of who you think wins, is pretty bloody cool. I really wanted to speak to the strengths of both mediums, and I really think it does, and you can see how much they contrast. They're not really fighting on even ground, which is why I'm gonna call this a tie.
It's at this point in the video that the painting is covering my mic and you can't hear my pitiful excuses as to why I made the decision to call it a tie. And the reason was because I actually want you to fight to the death in the comments as to who you think the winner is. Ultimately, I think the real winner is us, because we have lots of fun stuff to play with when it comes to art, and it's about the friends we make along the way. Please don't hate me in the comments for being such a piker.
Thank you so much for watching. Massive thank you to my patrons who support this content and make this possible. This has been a really fun exploration. I hope you've enjoyed it. Make sure to smash that like button, hit subscribe, and until next time, I'll see you later. I think that was all the YouTube things in one breath. There you go. It's almost like I've been doing this for 10 bloody years. And you know what? Loving it now, even more than I ever have. Thank you so much for watching. See you in the next video.